Welcome, 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 welcome. Again, I am back. Again. I don't know what's going on with the Twitter machine. Elon's ex is acting drunk tonight, but it is what it is. The show must go on. So, like I start off with every show, thank you. Whether it be your first time, last time, thank you for taking this time to be here with me. I'm your host, AP. This is Timeouts and Tangents. Tonight, we're going to start off by paying our respects to the one, to the only Demario Davis, who that flags are flying at half mast tonight. Flying at half mast. Demario, we love you, man. You will be missed. Saints legend, future Hall of Famer, All Pro, community leader. Sad to see you leave, but it was great while we had you for these past 7 years, man. You stepped up and was that leader that we needed when we needed him the most. Thank you so much, Demario. The Saints, however, have been on a torrid pace this free agency. It's been a beautiful thing to see. They have done some amazing things. Of course, they kicked it off by re signing John Ridgway, defensive tackle. Huge addition. And then they went along and signed Travis Etienne from the Jacksonville Jaguars, a running back who had over 200 carries, 1,000 yards rushing, uh, 7 touchdowns, 7 8 touchdowns, I believe, receiving. It, he is the dynamic piece that we've been needing in the backfield. And then you did the thing that almost everybody needed you to do. You went and got an offensive guard. We have been searching for a left guard since we drafted Andres Pete in 2015. It's been that long. And don't get me wrong, Andres Pete held it down for several years. And we found once, it was time to move on from Pete, that it was very difficult to replace him. The Trevor Penning experience was an experience nonetheless. Losing Teron Armstead when we did was an experience nonetheless. Our offensive line has looked like absolute Swiss cheese since we lost two players that was Teron was a guy. But then you had Andres Pete, who was actually serviceable, decent starter. He showed up for you. A couple injuries here and there, but he was solid. Wasn't the turnstile that we have right now on the offensive line for sure. But you went and signed David Edwards. Man, oh man, the best available offensive guard in free agency to shore up that offensive line. You're adding him to your rookie left tackle and Calvin Banks Jr., who spent most of the season on an island. He barely got any chip blocks and double team blocks from running backs or guards on the inside. It was just him and the best pass rusher. Handle it. And he did. And then you add that to Taliesin Fuanga on the right side. Hopefully Ruiz can step up. Or we draft a rookie who will challenge him. On top of that, Eric McCoy coming back is huge. Prayerfully, he stays healthy. If this offensive line comes together how it's supposed to with the addition of Travis Etienne, you have the best, potentially the best offense in the NFC South. Just because you have the best quarterback. And keeping the quarterback upright is part one. I mean, you had Tyler Shuck out there throwing to Kevin Austin Jr. and a bunch of other guys who I can't even remember their names, and they may struggle to make this team. That's that should tell you something. Don't let. What up, Paul? Appreciate you joining in, man. Thank you. Gonna get to some Tiger talk here in a second, brother. Don't let don't let the news around you fool you because your other teams have got the other teams in the division outside of Carolina have actually gotten a little bit worse. Atlanta added Tua, so you add a quarterback with concussion issues to a quarterback room with another quarterback who has knee issues and was not very good in his second season. They cut Kirk Cousins. Um, don't see them adding any other additions right now to the offense. And don't get me wrong, they have a very talented offense, but right now I trust Tyler Shuck over that quarterback room. Travis Etienne in our running back room elevates our running backs along with Alvin Kamara. They lost Tyler Algier, who was a perfect complement to Bijan Robinson. We add Noah Fant, and we have Jawan Johnson. Our tight end room feels better to me, more complete. And then our wide receivers, we're working that in progress. I mean, they have Drake London. Their wide receivers are really good, led by Drake London. We have Chris Olave, and Chris Olave is going to get a running mate this offseason, whether it be at pick 8 or it in round 2 at pick 42. He's going to get a running mate, and that's going to elevate the offense immediately. So I'm looking forward to the additions that they have yet to make. And it's been a pretty quiet day, but to me, the biggest improvement that we're not talking about enough is the punter. We have a punter. So let's talk about that before we get to the punter. Paul brings up in the chat, what is the rumors about Kamara being on the trade block with the Etienne signing? So Travis Etienne coming in isn't really what put Kamara as an available trade asset. It's the move that they did over the weekend on Friday, where they reallocated Kamara's cap hit money as a front to spread out on his contract, meaning they freed up about $8 million in cap space without having to give him any money out of that deal. So they did a very advantageous thing for themselves, not necessarily the player. Most of the time when you restructure a contract, you're taking that money and just writing a check to the player, and you're relieving yourself of the salary cap weight that contract was bringing. This time they found a loophole where they could alleviate that pressure from the salary cap without having to pay the player based on how they had the contract drawn up. So it gave them the flexibility to where, let's say you add a in. Let's say you're able to draft a Jeremiah Love in the first round. Now other NFL teams have the ability to say, you know what? We'll toss you a third round pick for a 31-year-old Alvin Kamara. We'll shoot you, some other assets. Or maybe Kamara will say, you know what? Cut me, let me go get a ring. Even though he has not ever said that. His whole thing has been about staying in New Orleans. He is loyal to this organization. But when you bring in a collection of weapons like a Jeremiah Love and a Travis Etienne, it does start limiting the touches. If we don't draft if we don't draft Jeremiah Love, that also doesn't mean that we don't go in the second round and draft a guy like Mike Washington out of Arkansas. So it leaves the possibility for the Saints to do and move however they need to move this offseason. But what they did by bringing Etienne in, now they don't have to go get a running back in the draft. It eliminates that. The additions that they made in this free agency were absolutely smart and key. Now, what I would like to see them do is add an edge rusher and another wide receiver. I don't know if the wide receiver market in free agency is not that healthy, but them adding a punter was huge. Them adding Caden Ellis after losing to Mario Davis was amazing. So it's just freeing up constantly what they can do at pick eight. Pick eight is going to be an amazing pick to be made. And I did some research earlier. Now that we're here and we're talking about that, I did some research today because I wanted to see how many times the Saints actually drafted within the top 10 and what those results were. And in the last 20 years, they've only drafted in the top 10 three times. Three times. And what if I told you that Mickey Loomis is pretty good at drafting in the top 10? So when you look at the first round picks the Saints have had over the last 20 years, it's very spread. It's very spread out. In the top 10, they drafted three times. In picks 11 through 20, they drafted nine times. So pretty mid. And in picks 21 through 32, they've drafted six times. When you're picking 11 through 20, you're like a team that's borderline on a playoff, right? So picks 1 through 20, they are really, really good at. Picks 21 through 32, ain't so much. Ain't so much. Their hit rate is a lot higher, especially in that top 10 range. So I'm excited with them making this pick in pick eight, and and now that I've done this research, it's giving me a lot of confidence. So let's look at it. In '06 was the first time that they picked in the top 10 in the Mickey Loomis era. With that selection, they drafted Reggie Bush, obviously number two overall. They followed that up with drafting Cedric Ellis in pick seven in 2008, and then just this last year, they drafted Calvin Banks Jr. with pick nine. All three of those guys were hits. Cedric Ellis is still in the league. He may not be Aaron Donald, but to be a starting defensive tackle 17 years in and still competitive, that's a hit for a top 10 pick to me. Picks 11 through 20, the Saints drafted Malcolm Jenkins in '09, Kenny Vaccaro, Brandon Cooks, Andrews Pete, Sheldon Rankin. I said Cedric Ellis, I'm sorry. Cedric Ellis was not a hit. Sheldon Rankins I'm thinking about. Got them confused. I got them confused. Sheldon Rankins is who I'm thinking of right now. Sheldon Rankins at pick 16, Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus Davenport, Chris Olave, and Taliesin Fuwanga. Marcus Davenport is your biggest miss. Everybody else was a hit. They played in the league, made it to multiple contracts. They're a hit. So in that top 10, the Saints are pretty good. 2 out of 3. Mickey Loomis is pretty good drafting in the top 10. I am comfortable with him doing this right now. Reggie Bush, Cedric Ellis is the miss, and then Calvin Banks Jr. at number 9. So my confidence is kind of there with him making the selection. Picks 21 through 32, that's where Mickey kind of goes into a rut. You got Robert Meacham, who is, all right. Patrick Robinson, who is, Cam Jordan, obviously a future Hall of Famer. That's a hit. Cesar Ruiz, Peyton Turner, and Brian Brzee is TBD, to be determined. Those late round picks, it's like he's reaching off more potential. And Mickey Loomis himself has said, like, when you're drafting in the top 10, you have to understand that you're drafting a guy that you're expecting to be a guy. not that you're hoping. So his approach to drafting in the top 10 is completely different. So I'm excited about it. Now, who's available in that at that eighth pick? I don't know. The draft is wide open, and there's a lot of speculation that Jeremiah Love may not make it to us at pick 8. And if he doesn't, I'm fine with that because you addressed your biggest running back need with the signing of Travis Etienne. However, if it's not Jeremiah Love, who I would like to see us get, it's Caleb Downs. I want to see us shore up the defense, especially with a playmaker like him, somebody who's a dynamic defensive player. Maybe an Arvell Reese falls. Maybe you end up with Sonny Styles. I don't know if Sonny Styles now, since you signed Caden Ellis, if they'd have a role for him. But looking forward to that as well too. So the draft is going to be fun. Like I'm looking forward to the draft, especially because of how fun this free agency is. Outside of the fact that everything's been quiet today, it's crickets today, and thanks since my collaboration with Ross, I've been able to tap into him, and he let me in on a little bit of insight about how things work and why the first couple of days are so fast. So now we're into like a real negotiating stage with everybody, with all the other guys who hadn't signed deals over the course of Monday and Tuesday. I will say, I feel bad for the Raiders. You thought that you were gonna get, two first round picks and get off Max Crosby, but them's be the breaks, bruh. So sorry. So this offseason is looking up. I mean, you telling me we live in a timeline where the Saints and LSU are both having the best football off seasons in the same off season? Chef's kiss. I cannot believe it. I'm absolutely excited for it and cannot wait for it. It's elite, man. It's good. I will have to say that I will be giving Mickey Loomis his credit. I was on him all throughout the Derek Carr saga. Ever since Sean Payton stepped away, I disagree with every single move, every single decision he made. I was not with it. I wasn't for it at all. But these last 2 years, the draft selections he had last year, the free agents, the way he's managed the cap. I mean, the Saints were not coming into the offseason over the cap. I haven't been able to say that since Moby Dick was a minnow. Like, it's amazing. So I do, I do want to give him his credit because it's well deserved, it's well earned, and I'm looking forward to it. But like I said, when you go back to it, when the Saints pick in the top 10, they don't miss. So whoever we get, expect them to be good. Expect them to be good. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Cedric Ellis was a little rough, but Reggie Bush and Calvin Banks, they're showing out already. I'm excited about it. Let's switch up gears a little bit. Let's get to the Tigers. How could I not talk about the Tigers? They're all around me. LSU baseball went out onto the diamond last night and handled business. They beat a solid Creighton team who I've been told to expect to see them in the regional. I have no other reason not to. They came out, they fought hard, they gave everything that they needed to give, and they made the Tigers earn it. Jake Brown hit another banger of a home run. Stephen Milam, with all the criticism that was going around for no apparent reason, I guess. Like, what are we doing here? Stephen Milam showed up, had some hell of a web gems. Great base running, good hitting, getting on, forcing walks. Played outstanding. Derek Curiel with one of the best center field moves and catches I've seen in quite a while. And not to forget, Chris Stanfield made his return. So a lot of positives, a lot of forward momentum going into the opening weekend of SEC play as they travel up to Nashville to take on the Commodores on Friday. Absolutely excited about it. Hopefully the boys get their vibes back, get the mojo back, get the juices flowing again. Because most of the things I think that was going wrong with them were just mental. I just think that they were pressing a little bit too hard. The ULL game, I will say, oh god, the ULL game, I will say, they definitely were not all the way there. The effort wasn't there at all. So that was a different effect. But I think that they've been in their heads a little bit, and hopefully this is a sign that they're turning things around and turning the corner. I'm glad it wasn't another blowout win like Friday. And I'm glad that they actually had to fight through and earn it, overcome some adversity, and show some mental fortitude to hold that lead and get the job done. Let's talk about this LSU football team. Lane Kiffin and the boys. I don't know if y'all realize this, but 13 days away from spring football practice. I can smell it. I can smell it. It's right there. It's right around the corner. 13 days. Can't believe it. I'm so excited for it. And you see the guys getting extra work in. There are clips of them getting some training in. Some of the linebackers doing some extra drills and bag work. Um, this team is going to be special, man. And I'm going to do a roster breakdown and a spring season preview later on next week. Probably be next Wednesday, next Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on what the baseball schedule looks like. But we're going to go over that roster a week leading into spring training, kind of what to expect. And I'm also going to do a coaching staff breakdown to kind of introduce the fan base to the coaches. So that way you can know what these guys, who these guys are, what they look like, where they come from, what's their background, why are they good? Because honestly, to me, you have some guys on this coaching staff that don't get enough love. George McDonald is probably the most underrated wide receivers coach in the country. He's a dog. He's a developer of men. He molds clay. He is a potter at the wide receiver position. And him being with this system with Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr., there, and you already know how Louisiana produces wide receivers. Oh my God. We are not giving this enough shine like what it needs to be. Well, what's going on, my man? I see you, baby. Who that? Go Tigers? Yes, sir. Like you got to know who. You got to understand uh, who George McDonald is. Like Kevin Smith gets a lot of the headlines, deservedly so. He's earned his recognition. But George McDonald, that's a dude. That's a dude. As an LSU fan, we're all already familiar with James Craig, but you need to get familiar with Eric Wolford. This is a guy that Nick Saban had on his staff, and if Nick Saban vouches for him, coaching his offensive line, the most important position on the football field. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, quarterback is very important, but you got to protect the quarterback. Quarterback don't mean anything if you're not upright. We saw that last year. You get a guy like Eric Wolford, you partner him with a guy like James Craig. The expectation for your offensive line should be to be through the roof. So we're gonna do a deep dive into this coaching staff. We're gonna get familiar with these guys, set the expectations. Yeah, I'm gonna sunshine pump a little bit because why not? You got Lane Kiffin, and things are just different right now. You did some things in the portal that really shouldn't have been done. You pissed off the old head coach who's not to be mentioned because we're over it. We turned that patty over to the other side, flame broiled it, and threw it away. Gave that up for Lent. So we're moving on, right? Like, get ready for what this football team is going to bring. And don't think for a second that Hassan Longstreet is not going to press Sam Levitt to shit or get off the pot. And don't think Landon Clark is not going to press Hassan Longstreet. You got three quarterbacks who are elite, two of which have a lot of game experience. Your slated starter has a lot of high level game experience. You got a loaded quarterback room, and it's loaded for a good reason. They're going to run the ball. The offensive line will be nasty, and it's going to make the defense a lot better. We thought that the defense was good last year. That was with them playing two hand touch in practice. Imagine what it's going to be like next year. This is going to get real fun. So, look, the vibes are high, man. The boot is on its way, and they got a lot of people pissed off about it. They got a lot of people mad that Louisiana getting some love. Think about this for a quick second. The last time the Saints and LSU both were dynamic was 2019. LSU went on to have the greatest college football team ever. And I'm not saying that we're going to replicate that, but imagine what that feeling was to have both LSU and the Saints competing in the playoff. Weekends were great. And man, I can't wait. High school football is going to be off the charts this season. Roll that into a Saturday night in Death Valley. Roll that up into a Sunday afternoon in the Dome. I cannot wait. Oh, also another news. The LSU men's basketball season is officially over. I'm just waiting for the tweet to come out to say that LSU has parted ways with Matt McMahon. I mean, if you don't do it now, then just roll the rest of the money over into the baseball program. That's just my thoughts, though. Because that team is a sinking ship. That program is a dead weight, and it's absolutely atrocious. Like, I mean, we're supposed to be building a new arena. We deserve a better basketball team than this. I want to have fun in the PMAC again. Not really the PMAC, because the PMAC needs to be renovated. But y'all know what I'm saying. Get that big general going back up on the second level with the balcony bingles, please. Somebody. Once again, it's fun, man. I wouldn't, as far as off-season news, you're not gonna hear much. Like I said, LSU, as far as LSU football is concerned, the guys are putting in some extra on-field work on their own independently, getting ready for the next 2 weeks when they strap up the helmets. The Saints, I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing some news around us. Cam Newton, Foster Moreau, I believe, has been visiting in Houston. They got a couple players that they can make some moves on. I got James Abakiti and from out of Atlanta as an edge. And then the edge out of Indianapolis, I forgot his name. He has the potential to sign with us too. Don't be surprised if you start hearing some things pop off here in the next couple days. I know it's been quiet, but look, we did our big thing yesterday on Monday, and that's what that was supposed to be for. You know, things kind of work themselves out a little bit faster than what we are normally accustomed to. And the Saints deserve a lot of credit for it. They did great, and they still have more money to spend. So just wanted to touch on those things tonight. I am about to head out. You will see me live tomorrow, probably tomorrow morning, maybe tomorrow afternoon, definitely tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock to do a little SEC preview baseball stream. And then Friday, we got our post game show with me, Paul, and David. Hopefully, Paul can join if he's not trapped in a hurricane. That's called work. If not, we'll get a pinch hitter. I know somebody I can call off the bench, and we can have some fun. Look, man, the content is contenting. I got some big news to share with y'all once NFL free agency settles down. Not starts, once it stops. I can't wait. I'm excited about the partnerships that are coming about, but most importantly, the friendships or relationships that I've been able to grow from this. I got some real brothers, man, and I can't thank them enough. Like there's a community that's being built. We are loving every day of it. Can't thank y'all enough, man. So with that, I'm your boy AP. Y'all be the difference that you want to see in the world. It's free. Don't be fake. Stand 10 toes down on what you say. Choose your words carefully and be nice about it. Everybody's not meant to be on the train with you, but you can at least hold the door open. God bless you. I love you. Y'all have a good day.